So the big question is this: how are real estate agents like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital and are spending money from our own pockets, how do we compete with these billion-dollar real estate tech companies and iBuyers in a way that lets us bring our services and the things we believe in out into the world and still remain profitable? That's the big question. And on this podcast, we'll give you the answers. Welcome to the iBuyer experiment.
What's up? What's up? What is up? It's been a minute.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. You're going to love today's episode because the four of us are going to take a trip down memory lane. Because on this podcast, remember, we're answering the big question: how real estate agents like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital and are spending money from our own pockets, how do we compete with billion-dollar real estate tech companies in a way that lets us bring our services and the things we believe in out into the world and still remain profitable? That's the big question, and that is the answer we're going to give you to this podcast. Welcome to the iBuyer experiment.
Welcome. So about, what was it, like 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago that we were sitting in that
It's 2 years ago this month.
Over there?
It's 2 years ago this month.
I think the first...
We met with Elliot first.
Yes, I think our first
It was right
meeting,
before the Christmas party. I remember it.
Yes, we met in October.
Right after the Christmas party. I don't remember. It was before or after?
It was before.
Okay.
Because it was in October when we
2018.
first met in 2018.
Your memory's the sharpest of all of ours. I'm not arguing that one.
Yes.
And at that point, Keith was just, I think he kept Keith in his back pocket.
He was like, I got this brother, his name's Keith.
He didn't want us to meet Keith yet.
I got this ace in the hole.
Yeah,
Definitely be
exactly.
coming over and working with us here.
Yeah, it's funny because Elliot didn't even tell me that he was going to go talk to anybody. He was just like, "Hey,
That's typical Elliot.
I met with the owners of JK Realty," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, how'd that go?"
Well,
we had been kind of foiling, right? Because I mean, obviously we had been working with a lot of the wholesale leads and those types of things at the time. And
I would love to hear what brought you guys to that moment. I mean, Keith, let's just assume you were involved in that moment too.
He was involved in that moment.
Yeah. What were you guys doing? What was happening? What were you seeing?
You kick it off. You got some. Well, here I'll start it and then you could jump in because how it all started was, it literally tied back to the short sale days. I'll leave the name out, but there was a certain person that I used to give a lot of cracks at short sales at. And he was a very big, large buyer in town, and we fed him for years. And then he actually, basically one of his people had approached me and said, "Hey, we have a bunch of turndowns on wholesales of houses that we cannot." They don't want our deals, but however, they do want to still sell, and there's definitely some meat on the bone. You can approach them from a listing standpoint. If anything that you convert from these leads that we give you, will you pay a referral fee? I was like, well, duh, of course I will.
Okay, so let me dumb this down for a minute. So basically, these were people that had requested wholesale offers.
Yep, like bandit signs.
And then looked at that offer and they were like, good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Good Lord, that's a whole lot of not money.
Yeah, there you go. More like that.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of lack offer.
Well, it's crazy if you think about it too, because they still did a lot of business, so there's still a lot of people that
hundreds
are willing
of deals
to take
a year. This buyer, it does hundreds of deals a year. If I mentioned his name, everybody that was listening to this would have heard of him.
Well, what's the harm in mentioning his name? I mean, it's like a big deal.
No, don't mention it.
Okay,
I
don't mention it. It's a secret.
I don't want to mention it.
All right, so we were talking, and you guys were talking what you were doing, or Elliot was telling what he was doing. It's like, hey, we're out there getting offers for these sellers, wholesalers, and they were using Open Door, OfferPad.
Yep. So OfferPad's actually, because this is how long we've been in the game doing this. OfferPad was not even known. Tell the story about OfferPad, because they actually, one of the wholesale leads, we actually ended up listing the house. I remember it was in Chandler, and they wrote us an offer.
We were just going to these leads from a traditional perspective. We didn't have any cash buyers in our pocket at the time. So
we hadn't drank the "Don't list my house" Kool-Aid yet,
right?
Or I don't want to list my house.
We were just approaching these people, just saying, "Hey, I know you met with XYZ company. It didn't sound like you guys were able to put a deal together, and we were curious if you could get current market value for your property. Would you still be interested in selling it?" Something just very simple.
Yeah.
Yes. Try to set an appointment. Go over there, get in front of them. Just the whole traditional thing, and it was unbelievable how many people did not want to put their house on the market. No, I'm interested, but if you can bring me a cash offer, I'd be more interested in that. No matter how many follow-ups, they just weren't having it. And Elliot and I were going like, what's wrong with these people? Like,
well, they were leaving well over 10 grand, 50 grand, 20 grand on the table.
We were like, we didn't even know leads like this existed because we hadn't really worked them.
Yeah, at that level.
Yeah,
right.
like meaning people who inquired about a cash offer, and that was pretty much where their mindset was. I'm only going to sell if a buyer comes in and gives me cash and a number that I'm looking for. That's as far as a lot of these people wanted to go.
We had beat the heck out of the old Mike Ferry script, When do you plan on hiring the right agent for the job of selling your home?
I never used that.
It's like, I never did that. But it's
I
fun.
couldn't resist.
It's fun to talk about.
Yeah, so one of the ones that Ellie's talking about in Chandler was actually a short. We listed it as a short sale, and OfferPad actually. Well, let me take a step back. It wasn't OfferPad. It was one of OfferPad's institutional buyers that they were working with. OfferPad was the company, the buyer's agent representing them. And I got the offer and it was really good. I'm like, man, is this legit? So I called, talked to the agent, asked him I said, I have a lot of
Well, it was Dixon. That's who it was. Remember that?
Yeah.
He's like their biggest agent now.
I just said, hey, we have a bunch of properties that are off the market. Can we just start sending these to you? And then all of a sudden, boom, we did like 3 deals with them in less than 60 days. And we're like, dude, this is sick.
Right off the bat, right? Yeah.
Nice.
So that was your intro.
That was the intro. That was the intro to the iBuyer place. We met with these people.
Yeah, we ended up going to meet with some of their reps and internally. All that stuff.
We went to CEO. I don't know if he was a founder of Invitation Homes. They're one of the largest buyers out there because they ended up buying a house that was a little bit out of their.
He wasn't
buy
the CEO.
box.
He was just a buying partner.
And he was way up on the food chain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure he was.
And so anyway, we just started creating all these relationships, and we're like, dude, we got all these off-market deals that we can start slinging to these, to these buyers. And then that was our eyes. The light bulb just went off. And then not too long after that, then we started doing deals.
There's a huge market. The market
huge.
of the convenience buyer, convenience seller is out there, right? And there's a lot.
Well, I was given hundreds and hundreds of leads, right? These are older. I mean, some of them were a little, sitting on the shelf collecting some dust for a bit. But hundreds where we were just making contact and saying, hey, if we could produce an offer for you that made sense, would you be interested in selling your home? Right? And that's where the conversation started. And there was a lot of them, not I want to say a lot. There was definitely some that we were able to mathematically show them how much more they were going to make and how quick they could get it, due to the absorption rate of the market, where their house was at. So there was definitely some listings that came, but there was a lot of
we probably got more listings out of it than
and that's what's so exciting,
deals.
right?
Right.
The listings, right?
But there's the opportunity.
The amount of people who took the cash offer was stunning. Is what was
that
stunning.
was also stunning. Yeah.
Well,
so you noticed this massive change in consumer behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's firsthand experienced it. Well, I won't forget it. There was a listing appointment that we were on in Santan Valley where the guy had a new build. It would have taken us less than probably 10 days to sell his house. And it was like, the part that threw me so much is he was getting money from his 401k. He wanted the certainty of the sale so much that I could have sold his house on the open market and actually made him profitable versus he was upside down in his house and he was going to come to the table with money borrowed from his 401k. And this guy was like a Cox Communications worker, right? Like, I mean, no disrespect to anybody,
what do you think these people had?
He was probably making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. So not like he had a bunch of money sitting around, and he was borrowing money from his 401k, and it was like 15 grand that he had to bring to the table.
Yeah,
because
I just can't lose this house. This is more certain to me if the thing doesn't sell. It's just.
And he took, and he ended up taking the deal, and that was that in that circumstance, and that was just one of the most eye-opening, revealing experiences I had ever had at that point.
Well, I think what was eye-opening is here you have professional, seasoned, excellent realtors that can deliver pretty much a guaranteed result, and people are still willing to take money out of their 401k.
Well, one heck of a track record, right?
I mean, it's pretty crazy.
So fast forward when we were meeting.
That happened. We fast forward. We probably did
so that
for
went on for
a year and a half,
maybe
damn near 2 years, and then And then that's probably around when Ellie came in and talked to you guys.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I don't even know what spurred you coming in. I don't even know.
Well, I think we were at that point where it's like, all right, this landscape continues to grow. I mean, in paying attention and looking at Open Door, right, where I was fortunate enough to be a part of the original release at the time of Open Door, where they invited some local higher producing agents and brokers, and I wasn't a broker, but I was an owner at the time. And I was invited to their little launch release party, and I just thought that they were another REIT in town walking in with a bunch of money. I was like, oh, this is great, cool. I've seen this before. What's the big deal about this? And I didn't realize all the tech that they had involved. And so when you started looking at those places, and I started realizing that they just had one hell of a fish net, right, like out there catching it, and they were seeing people raise their hands left and right. And so that's where I guess just me knowing that you guys were super innovative, and that really it was also I knew how big it would get. I knew that there was no way that Keith and I could handle the growth that we foresaw, that I foresaw, in the vision of things. And it's just like 2 is 2, and sometimes you're only going to get that type of result, versus when we can open the door and really start thinking big, build something big, and go after something bigger, which is exactly what happened.
So that's when Offervana was born.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess what Elliot said, I feel like my perspective it's a little different. I don't know what he told you guys, but what he told me was that, because I would just say, well, just come over to HomeSmart, because that was still right around when he was shutting down the SWO properties.
Yep.
And I'd already moved over, because I'm just like, well, you guys are shutting down, so I'll find somewhere to go. And anyway, so I was like, well, just come over to HomeSmart now. And then he started thinking, like, well, the only thing about that is, what's the office like? Is there agents in the office? Can we build a team around this?
It was pre-COVID. There was.
Get people. Not really.
I mean, not as much.
And
but
their Chandler office was one of the newer ones. It was actually.
No, I'm talking about
really
JK. Sorry, I wasn't.
But that's not how the conversation first started.
I know.
So then I would think about a couple weeks went by, and he's like, yeah, I've seen their stuff before, and it's freaking dope. And then he's like, I think I'm going to go in and talk to him. But that was kind of as far as that conversation went. I didn't actually know he came in and talked to you until after the conversation happened. He was like, dude, like, you need to check this out. I think this is the direction we should go. And then because he talked about you guys being innovative, that you look like you were very techie, you're ahead of the curve, your stuff is innovative, and that's
Always.
what we wanted to get ourselves in an environment again where I felt like me personally being at HomeSmart, unless they have a different office location where that happens, it really wasn't the environment. Most people,
it's a great brokerage, right? Like they really are. Their systems are fantastic.
Stable,
it's
great.
It's a fantastic.
It was. I'm not, but it. So I think that's one reason that we were at KW for so long, because they had a mindset with their agents and pushed that mindset. Come into the office, work,
right?
Grind the environment together. Mastermind. So,
I learned so much from being in that environment for years. We
wanted to put ourselves back in that environment. And after Elliot talking with you, and then obviously checking out your guys' stuff, we're like, well, looks pretty cool.
Well, I'd always seen the Penthouse. Charles Duck, one of my old partners, who, he'd always spoke.
R.I.P.
Yep, R.I.P. my man, R.I.P. He'd
Chuck
always
the
spoke
Duck.
really. Chuck Duck. He'd always spoke super highly of you guys, and and when you're here, there's no question. Still to this day, one of my favorite things about both of you guys is your relentless ability, or relentless expectation of greatness, and it shows up in and it's showing up in what we're doing with ZOODEALIO. So you guys tell your story.
Well, I think I love hearing the backstory, and I think that's going to give people a lot of context as to why we did what we did. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being at a brokerage and doing a lot of deals and everything, but I think that there's just this piece in all of us that we share to not just not just be in the industry, but actually to lead the industry. And I think that what we saw was a changing of consumer behavior, but then we also saw at the same time that the consumer wasn't getting a fair and honest, I guess, portrayal of their home's value, for one. And, interestingly enough, Open Door is now being investigated by the SEC because of this. And so it's kind of, it kind of all came full circle as far as that's concerned. But I think what we really all wanted to do was come together and create something that could really change the way real estate is bought and sold. And as the transactions go from offline, which in real estate, it's one of the industries that has not innovated. And as we shift to this more online world, I think that we all saw massive opportunity in doing that. And rather than letting these, big Silicon Valley tech executives and Wall Street money come in and dictate the way real estate is going to be bought and sold, we're all sitting here going like, no, wait, we should have a say in this. Yep. We should create this. Like, why not us? And so,
well, it's all about forgetting the agent, right?
Yeah, exactly. And leaving them left behind. And I'm sitting here going, look, like a good agent is amazing. A good agent is amazing.
Makes you money.
Exactly. So I think that was kind of the catalyst for all of us joining forces, is we just saw that opportunity to bring something out into the world that was online, that was cool, that would allow sellers to get multiple instant cash offers. They could compare them alongside a comparative market analysis from a real estate professional who was giving them an honest opinion of what their home was worth. And I think that we also foresaw some things that we've seen come to fruition with other companies. We foresaw the ability of a consumer being able to list their home online, the consumer being able to accept the offer online, and a lot of these things that we're now seeing unfold across the industry. So it was really exciting, and I think it was exciting because you guys have a proven track record of success, and I think that one of the things that Jason and I really love is the fact that we can align ourselves with individuals that have already amassed huge success, and because we had, just
you guys have killed that.
Yeah, I mean, so we've done well. I mean, real estate has been really, really gracious to us, but I think that was the thing. It was like, everybody has an idea. Ideas are shit. Execution is everything, right? And so I think that what we did is we came up with a great idea, but then we executed.
Well, four of us are executors,
crazy.
Right? Like at the end of the day, that's I'm not going to beat around the bush on it. There's a reason why we're sitting at this table. It's because we're executors.
Yep. You guys showed up every day.
Yep.
And
every day.
That's why I kept telling Kayla, I'm like, they're showing up every day. Let's
do this.
Crush this. Let's go after it. So we went after it hardcore, right?
Yeah. So let's talk there. So we build off Ravana. We hire a developer, and I look back at the photos of him, and he looks like he's 12.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
Hold on. We're leaving
out an elementary
super
school
crucial in piece. Remember when we first talked about like expenses and costs and like, what's it going to take to get this off?
$5,000.
Knowing how much we've spent now.
Well, I mean, we were thinking just a squeeze page, as a basic
Basic
website, right?
Yep.
But then it got into like, no, we need to have a back end. We need to have a place where a consumer can come in and interact with us and
log in, see their offers.
Yeah, we wanted it to be more than a lead capture page.
Multi-offer platform.
Because that's what Open Door and OfferPad, that's what they're doing. They're bringing them into this technology, right?
It builds trust.
Yep, build trust.
And, and it should, because anyone who can do what we've done deserves to be trusted in the technological space, because I'll tell you what, not many people have the grit, the time, the perseverance, and the funds.
Well, and think about how many people we've honestly had to enroll to get to where we're at, right? Not only the four of us, right, like each other, and then all the people now that are starting to be involved in what we're doing, right? Whether it be some of the stuff that we all know is going on. There's just been a lot of people being enrolled into this vision. And it's, now, again, as of last Friday, I mean, there's no question it's going to be some pretty big news.
Big news on the horizon. But yeah, so we build off Ravana. Our developer was just a baby, and he's awesome. His name is Noah. And we build off Ravana, and we charge out of the gates, and we have amazing, mind-blowing success. I mean, just like straight away, great success all around. I think,
Well, that's one of the things.
You got that big portfolio, the 15 properties, about $8 million of
just under
$8 million, 15 luxury properties. I mean, that was just like,
that was super cool.
Boom,
amazing, like insane. And but how about that time when we get that submission and we pull up the picture and the dude has a tennis court in his backyard?
Like, wow, we got this submission. This is amazing.
There was so many high-end properties that submitted to us.
Dude, totally, right?
How
That's what was really surprising to me. It was just the
super surprising.
The $800,000, $900,000 homes, the $1 million homes that were submitting their properties to us.
They didn't want to list either.
Nope. Well, and how many times have you gotten a CMA request from a seller accompanied by 25 photos of their house?
Oh,
right.
Well, and think about what we've changed in that, right? Like it used to be like almost 20 minutes to submit your house. Now it's 20 seconds.
Yeah, if you're an agent out there and have you ever gotten a lead that had the correct phone number, right?
Yeah.
The right email and 25 photos of their home. You think that's going to be a good lead?
Yeah.
Damn.
The best
I think that's the best it gets, right?
This is the best it gets, right? There's no question. That's why Eric Wu, Brian Bayer, Rich Barton, those are all the CEOs
I'm just going to, for one, interject that I don't think Brian Bayer foresaw this. I think Brian Bayer, he just backed into it on accident. Lucky him, but let me tell you, that dude was not out to change the game.
What I'm getting at, though, is they all know the quality of lead that is in this environment is the best it gets in the real estate environment, right? People don't go in and enter their house to get offers on their house and put in, King Kong at leavemealone.com.
True.
That's right. That's
Which
right.
Is very common.
And so the conversation is totally different when you're talking to somebody like that.
Totally.
And it's a lot easier to convert. And we had great success. We eventually got invited to go to Venice, California, to meet with one of the top venture capitalist firms in the real estate world.
I won't forget that anytime soon.
Right?
Watching Kayla sit across the table and ask for.
Well, let's back it up.
Yeah.
Let's remember when we got the invitation and we're in that conference room and he's like yeah, come out and we'll sit down and go over everything and.
I think Elliot and I must have spent hours coming up with a valuation. If you've never met with a venture capitalist, you don't really know what's your company worth.
Well, remember you guys doing it, Keith and Jay doing the budget for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what's it going to take to run this?
We're going to Venice, California to meet with the biggest venture capitalist firm.
$500 million fund. $500 million.
And they just got $500 million to push out, right?
Yep.
And we get there, have an amazing meeting with them. We're thinking like we're gonna get funded, right? We're on the brink.
Wait, can we back up to? We have a picture. This is hilarious. I don't know if you could insert it into the video, Elliot. It's funny. Jason took a picture of Elliot, Keith, and myself. He went across the street and took a picture of us at Fifth Wall, and there's a dude that was walking by that's waving in the photo. Did you see that? It's so funny. It cracks me up. But yeah, that meeting was. We were.
I remember the girl there, all described, listening to everything we were saying.
What's she writing down?
She's literally recording the whole meeting, just typing it down.
Yeah. There's cameras and stuff. And
it was pretty intense.
That was a cool building though. You go out there and it's like a whole kitchen with gourmet food out on the counter all over the place. I'm like, dang, this is pretty rad.
Yeah, definitely a serious operation. Very nice. A huge company. Huge.
Yeah. Well, and the cool part with that specific company is they were also investors into Open Door, so I think they saw the vision of what we were building, but it was hard because they hadn't heard the concept of being the Expedia for iBuyers in the real estate industry. And they were talking about, I think we bet on the right horse, but we don't know where things are still going. So
we're about ready to get funded, all right?
Wait, but look at our time.
Well,
better hurry up.
We're about ready to get funded. Let's pause.
Should we pause it?
Should we pause part 2? Let's do it today, but we can pause it.
You can go long.
Keith is selling a house in a few minutes.
All right, so we're gonna pause this.
Oh yeah, crap.
So wait.
You want to turn the cameras back on?
I gotta go sell a house.
Keith has to go sell a house.
Gotta go sling a crib.
New build in Queen Creek. We gotta get that paperwork together.
Okay, so we're not doing
Chase that paper.
Maybe this is part 1, you guys. This is just like the journey. This is the Offervana journey. We came together.
Okay, so
we
we're
created
Well,
Offervana.
let's leave the cliffhanger.
We
got
go.
enough time for the cliffhanger.
We have amazing, mind-blowing success straight out
And
of
how
the
much money did
gates.
we ask? We asked for $8 million, right?
$8 million.
I think it was more. I think
it was eight and a half.
Yeah, it was
$8.5
more.
million, right?
I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
I asked for $8.5 million for a 10% stake in my
And then you have to
company.
watch.
Yeah.
What happens.
Oh,
hold on.
It's even
No,
crazier.
Hold on.
Yes.
That's I've
got to
like,
give the cliffhanger. What happened when we got off the airplane? And then
Something
we'll chop it
completely
there.
100% unexpected, totally out of left field. We couldn't believe it. It was insane.
Yep. Get off the airplane.
Literally,
and
less.
You're not. Yeah,
You
you're
are
not
not
going to
gonna
believe
believe
this.
it. Less than
You have to
24
come to
hours.
episode. You have to go to the next episode to listen.
Find out what happened next, guys.
All
let's
right.
just say that an attorney had to get involved. We'll leave it there.
With love. All right. See you guys on episode 2.
Thanks for listening.
It is kind of fun to talk. It is fun to talk about.
We truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today on the iBuyer Experiment podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you're notified when we launch new podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show you the money.